How did Hoid become immortal? Welcome, World Hoppers. Many of us know him as Hoid, although sometimes he goes by Wit, Midas, Dust, Topaz, Wanderer, and a ton of other aliases. In fact, we don't even know his real name, though Sophrenius is supposedly the closest. The infamous World Hopper, who always shows up just at the right moment, is also, would you believe it or not, over 10,000 years old. Born way back, even before the shattering of Adonalsium, when the 16 shards were taken up and dispersed throughout the Cosmere. We see Hoid show up in Elantris, the Stormlight Archive, Mistborn Era 1, Mistborn Era 2, Warbreaker, Tress in the Emerald Sea, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, the Isles of the Emberdark. He's even in the upcoming book, The Fires of December. Literally every Cosmere novel except for the Sunlit Man. We've seen him rendered mindless, incapacitated, turned into a coat rack, and even fully vaporized, and yet nothing ever seems to keep the man down. So today we're answering the single question, how did Hoid become immortal? There will be spoilers for all of the Cosmeres, so quick warning if you don't want to hear something you shouldn't, although I guess you sort of now know that Hoid eventually becomes a coat rack. Okay, so as I mentioned, Hoid is over 10,000 years old. In fact, he was born on Yolen, the planet where the dragons live and where there was a magic system even before the shattering of Adonalsium, which also took place on Yolen. Now, you might be thinking, like many of us did for a long time, that, oh, dragons in the Cosmere can walk around in human form and are pretty close to immortal and can live tens of thousands of years, and Hoid is from the planet of dragons, so he's probably just the dragon. But this has been asked many times to Brandon, and the answer has always been a resounding no. Hoid was born a human. Whether he's still a human after all the stuff he's been through and the power he's acquired, that's up for debate. But the one thing that is 100% certain is that he is not a dragon. So Hoid was there during the shattering of Adonalsium, but unlike the other 16 involved, he chose not to and has never taken up one of the shards. So that's not an option of how he became immortal either. Quote, "And who is that, Wit?" Yasna asked. "Who are you really?" "Someone," he said, "who wisely turned down the power the others all took, and in doing so gained freedoms they can never again have. I, Yasna, am someone who is not bound." And there's actually sort of two different things helping Hoid at least seem to be immortal. The biggest of which is that at some point early on after the shattering, Hoid got his hands on a Dawnshard. Now, Dawnshards are these sort of physical manifestations of the four primal commands that Adonalsium used to create all things. Each Dawnshard granting unique powers to whomever holds them, allowing for magical abilities that go far beyond what is normally possible. The Dawnshard that Hoid held was the command of Exist, which appears to have been associated with a piece of topaz that Hoid apparently attempted to do something with for a very long time, but ultimately was forced to admit that it had become worthless because he wore it, thus earning him the nickname Topaz and the title Bearer of the First Gem. Quote, "That was another thing I stole, myself. Another time I was named for a rock. A pretty one, I hope," Kaladin said. "A beautiful one," the man said, "and one that became completely worthless for my wearing it." Now, holding the Dawnshard of Exist also permanently altered Hoid's spirit web, which is this sort of network of connections and investiture which makes up the soul of every living and non-living thing in the Cosmere. And that altercation from Exist to his spirit web made it impossible for him to be able to purposely harm others, eat meat, and likely is the altercation that has enabled Hoid to continue to exist and essentially be immortal. In his annotations for the novella Dawnshard back in 2020, Brandon Sanderson wrote, quote, "Hoid was a Dawnshard at some point in the deep past, and the reason he even still cannot physically harm people or even eat meat is related to the changes this made to his spirit. Consider this is the same fundamental principle as savanthood. A few of you who have read Dragonsteel know that him being a Dawnshard was also the source of his immortality in that book, though the terms were different back then. Now, in addition to the possible immortality being given by holding the Dawnshard for so long, there's another aspect, which is Hoid's nearly infinite healing. See, Hoid has access to some sort of healing ability that is capable of repairing not only his body, but also his soul. Here's a word of Brandon from the Words of Radiance release party back in 2014. Question: if Hoid got beheaded, would his body grow a new head? Brandon: yes. Question: What if Hoid was cut by a shard blade? Brandon, the shard blade cuts the soul, and what Hoid does heals the soul. So even if Hoid gets destroyed, blown up, or chopped into pieces or whatever, he will automatically regenerate from the largest piece of flesh he has remaining, which is why Hoid keeps portions of his body on other planets as sort of a contingency plan. So in the circumstance that his body be vaporized, such as what happened when Retribution destroyed Hoid on Roshar, Hoid, who had left some section of flesh behind on Scadrial, was able to regenerate. Quote, Wit woke in a bed somewhere far from Roshar, a place with soil, budding skyscrapers, and firearms. It had worked. He would continue to exist. The door creaked open, and Ulam stepped in. Ah, Hoid, our little experiment worked. I found you on the floor of my laboratory earlier this morning. Thank you, Wit, no Hoid said, for keeping that cell culture alive. His body regenerated from the largest piece of flesh he had remaining. He'd always known this, but had never found opportunity to, well, weaponize it. The type of power responsible for Hoid's healing ability is unknown, but according to Brandon, it is ancient, meaning it likely originates from some pre-shattering source. Whether or not this healing ability is related to Hoid's agelessness, or if that's simply due to holding the Dawnshard, we don't really know. Now, let's go ahead and dig into some more words of Brandon on the topic of his immortality. Question, when he says he's named after a rock, that's a reference to Topaz? Brandon, yes, that's referencing the Topaz, and the other thing that he references with when he says he's named after words on a page, that is not breaking the fourth wall. It's not even winking at it. Nope, it's quite literal. Yes, that is quite literal.
Can Hoid quote-unquote skip like Sigzil?
Rapho? He hasn't been able to in the past. You have not seen him able to do so in the books that you have read. If we take the current Cosmere timeline as being where basically Stormlight is with maybe the Wax and Wane books, like that's where we are in the real timeline of the Cosmere without the glimpses of the future that some of these books are providing. Hoid has no idea how to do this.
I like how you're timelining your Raphos.
Yes.
Like, this is a Rapho, but with information.
Yeah.
Question. I've read that Hoid does have a breath. Was he born with a breath or Brandon? Hoid was not born on Nalthis, so no, he did not start with one. But the magic was much different when he started. He was before the shattering of Adonalsium, so things are weird regarding him. Question. Is the fact that Hoid has been a Dawnshard related in the same way with the bearer of the first gem title? Brandon. Yes, indeed. Question. Can Hoid jump through time? If so, can shards jump through time? Brandon. Hoid, so far, has only moved forward in time. He has not lived all of those years, but has used some time dilation techniques. That said, he is far older, both in relative and real time, than a normal person can live. Question. We both know that Hoid travels through space, but we're not sure how he travels through time. Brandon. I haven't answered that yet. Let's just say he's not living every moment of it, not experiencing every moment of it.
Could Hoid eat soulcast bacon? Could he eat? Yes, he could probably eat lab-grown meat. If he knew it was, or magic-grown meat, he probably could. Yes. It's gonna, like, his psychology will be influencing this, right? Which is why I say probably. But the magic would allow it. Yes.
If somebody lied to him about the nature of the meat, could he eat that?
No.
Interesting.
No, well, okay, if they lied and said it was soulcast, yes, then he probably could.
It's based on his perception.
It's based on his perception, yeah.
Question. How old is Hoid? Or better yet, to avoid any trickiness, how many years has he lived through? Brandon. He's been alive since Dragonsteel. However, he may not have spent all of that time awake and alert. Question. Hoid has said that what he does when he heals or comes back to life or whatever, heals the soul. Brandon. Yes. Question. But hemalurgy is like ripping off a piece of the soul. Could he heal that? Brandon. It is possible. Well, his particular brand of healing is very spiritual realm based, and so he could. Not all brands of healing are capable. It depends on what's happening and things like that, but yes, he would. Most shard bearers, surge binders, when they're in the throes of their powers, would heal spiritually. Not all of them, not all healing will do that though. Question. Yeah, because I was thinking that maybe you could spike him multiple times and compound his power. Brandon. Yes, spiking him could do some weird things though, but spiking can do weird things to anyone. Question. Finally, and most importantly, if all of your protagonists had an epic all-out brawl, who would win? Brandon. Some of them are immortal, but that would be kind of cheating. If you let people who are immortal participate, it's going to very much favor someone like Hoid, who is really hard to kill. Of course, he would not be very good at offing anyone either, because of certain things in his past. It would be really futile when it got down to the last two. Question. At the end of Words of Radiance, when Hoid meets Yasna, he said he wasn't scared of the shard blade at all. Is that just because he has enough investiture to heal himself, or is there something else going on? Brandon. There's multiple reasons, but you're theorizing among the right terms. Now, I know I've been using the term immortal, despite the fact that Brandon kind of hints that there are some ways to kill Hoid, but since we don't really know exactly what those are, he's essentially immortal in my mind, though it is possible that Nightblood could be the one thing that could kill him. So if you want to learn more about the one thing that might be able to kill Hoid, make sure to check this video out here.